Therefore, as the Holy Spirit says, today, when you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts as in the rebellion, on the day of testing in the wilderness. You notice here, it doesn't say God hardened his heart. In fact, that's one of the places where the Bible's been mistranslated as somewhat from the Hebrew. When it says God hardened Pharaoh's heart, he didn't go and say, decide, okay, Moses, I'm going to give you a hardened heart. No. There's a tense in Hebrew that would read something like this, that if I walked into the room and you didn't like me, took a dislike to me, yes, you could say that I hardened your heart. But I didn't do it, you did it to yourself. And basically that's what it says here. You did it to yourself. When you hear God, the Holy Spirit speak, do not harden your hearts as in the rebellion, on the day of testing in the wilderness. Now, I want to remind you about that. If you go to Hebrews 14:34, and actually King James Version is the only one that has it actually translated the proper way. Get the right book. Numbers chapter 14, verse 34. Now, I'm going to get someone who's got a King James. I'd like you to read that. Okay, please read it out there, Brian, so we can all hear.
14:34. After the number of the days in which ye searched the land, even 40 days, each day for a year, shall ye bear your iniquities, even 40 years, and ye shall know my breach of promise.
You shall know my breach of promise. A lot of people think that because God made a covenant with Israel, that cannot be changed. It can be changed. You change it when you sin and you break it yourself. Yeah, and that's what happened here. The Israelites got rebellious on the Lord. They didn't want to go into the promised land because 10 of the 12 spies said, "Oh, they're too big. We can't beat them. We're like grasshoppers, and they're like giants. And oh, we can't defeat them." Well, you know, that was kind of stupid, because anybody knows anything about grasshoppers knows that when the grasshoppers come, your wheat fields and your vegetable fields, everything gets eaten up. Yeah. And so he changed the covenant. It's a breach of promise. And the same thing is true for there are 6 other covenants established through the whole of the Bible, and even this last one. If you break the terms, you breach the promise, and you get penalized. And you can lose your salvation over it. That's why we're warned we'll read about it later in Hebrews here, we're in Hebrews 6, where we're warned that there are those who, having tasted their full share of the Spirit, they fell away. Well, Peter tells us in his letter that there are those who are like a dog who returns to its vomit after having had all the riches of the Holy Spirit.
Gord, how could someone reach the full share of the Spirit and yet fall away?
Because there's a self-will in us. And sometimes we like what the Lord tells us to do, and other times we don't. Yes, Lord, I'll do anything you want. You just tell me what to do. Oh, I don't know I want to do that. That means I have to have fellowship with people like Lila.
And what's your problem?